12 forces, 2 worlds, 1 prophecy. In 2012, SM Entertainment had a concept for EXO's debut. They launched a cinematic mythology, a story about powers, parallel universes, and a cosmic battle that would span over a decade. This is the complete lore of EXO. The mythology starts with a story that feels more like an epic poem than a K-pop intro. This is the foundation, the Tree of Life, a cosmic entity that maintains balance across all universes. 12 forces descended from EXO Planet to protect it, and each force embodies a superpower tied to nature and elements. But there's a threat. Enter the Red Force, a corrupting entity trying to destroy the tree and plunge everything into chaos. The Mama music video, released in April 2012, was essentially a visual declaration of war. It's packed with symbolism. An eclipse represents the moment light and dark collide, and hexagons appear everywhere. In sacred geometry, hexagons represent interconnectedness, the structure of life itself. At this point, the 12 members are scattered across 2 parallel dimensions, EXO-K in Korea, EXO-M in China. 2 halves of 1 whole, 2 worlds operating simultaneously. The narrative is clear. They must unite to defeat the Red Force and restore balance. But the prophecy embedded in Mama carries a warning. Careless tribes divided the lands. They forgot the Tree of Life and started to seek for their own powers. The message? Corruption doesn't just come from the outside. It starts with division. Wolf and Growl in 2013 continue the mythology subtly. In Wolf, animalistic imagery suggests primal instincts, powers not yet controlled, members still learning their strength. Growl introduces territorial dominance. The single-take choreography video shows unity in motion, all 12 forces synchronized, finally finding their rhythm as a unit. But underneath, the hexagonal grid patterns persist. The eclipse imagery lingers in lighting choices. The Red Force was watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Red Force makes its move in 2014. Overdose, released the 7th of May 2014, is where the mythology darkens. The music video places EXO inside a massive labyrinth, with hexagonal walls stretching infinitely, corridors with no exit, a psychological trap created by the Red Force. The members are separated, disoriented, unable to find each other. Some wander alone, others collapse against walls. The hexagon, which once symbolized unity, now represents confinement. The addiction metaphor in Overdose ties directly to the lore. They're addicted to escaping the maze, but every attempt pulls them deeper. And then, reality mirrored fiction. Chris left the group in May 2014, just as Overdose promotions peaked. One of the 12 forces was gone. The lore suddenly carried real weight. By October 2014, Luhan also departed. 2 forces lost. The Tree of Life's balance tipping. The prophecy from Mama echoed louder. Careless tribes divided the lands. The division was happening in real time. The 18th of March 2015, a teaser titled Pathcode Kai drops, and the fandom loses its mind. Kai is wandering through London, being followed by a grainy surveillance camera. He gets a notification, has a flashback to the labyrinth, and suddenly he teleports. His power is back. This was the start of the most elaborate comeback campaign in K-pop history. SM released 10 Pathcode videos across 10 different global cities. The Red Force was hunting them, and the members were living in sleeper mode until their powers reawakened. Fans went into overdrive, decoding everything. SM launched a Twitter account called Pathcode EXO that tweeted riddles. Solving them unlocked passwords to EXO's website, revealing teaser photos for each member. The first letter of each member's location spelled out, "Call me baby." The comeback single they didn't know was coming yet, but the Pathcode videos told a darker story. Someone was watching them, through security cameras. Books about neurophysiology and the supernatural appeared constantly, and that eclipse kept showing up, a signal that the two parallel worlds were trying to crash back together. Fans theorized that the eclipses were signals between EXO-K and EXO-M, two parallel worlds colliding, trying to reunite. The Red Force had separated them after Overdose. Now they were finding their way back to each other. But something was different this time. The mythology had to adapt to the loss of Chris and Luhan, and it did so brilliantly. In Dao's video, he's reading a newspaper about UFO sightings in 10 cities, 10 forces. The lore acknowledged the change. The album was titled Exodus, a mass departure of people, and in August 2015, Dao left. 3 forces gone, the 12 were now 9. Love Me Right, the repackaged single, dropped in June. The music video showed members in bright settings, but sharp-eyed fans noticed some rooms looked like different sections of the maze. The maze wasn't over, they were still trapped. The Red Force was still in control, and the mythology was about to get much, much darker. The 9th of June 2016, 2 music videos dropped simultaneously. The duality was intentional, light and dark, escape and rebellion, 2 sides of the same nightmare. Lucky One opens in a sterile facility, white walls, cold lights, and the members waking up with experiment numbers tattooed on their necks. They're test subjects now. The Red Force had caught them. According to Baekhyun's later explanation, the members had been powerless for so long that they'd grown weak. While powerless, they were kidnapped and brought to this facility for experimentation. You see the nurses in red masks, the signature color of their enemy, a visual marker of the Red Force's influence. The video shows them being injected with dark liquid. Fans theorized this was either suppressing their powers or more disturbingly creating them. What if the Red Force was the origin of their abilities all along? What if Mama's origin story was a lie they told themselves? But then their powers return. Violently. Kai doesn't just teleport. He glitches through space in the middle of a dance break. They fight their way out, destroying the lab as they escape. 1 hour after Lucky One Monster arrived, the video begins at the end. A car on fire, members leaving a dinner table, a clock spinning backward as broken plates reassembled themselves. Time was running in reverse. The members are rebels now, bloodied, bruised, fighting back against suppression. But the biggest talking point was Baekhyun. While the others are being beaten and thrown into a prisoner transport van, Baekhyun is clean. The reveal? He was a double agent. He infiltrated the Red Force, donned the disguise of a guard, and disabled the security systems to lead the escape from the inside. But why were they captured in the first place? Fans connected it back to Lucky One. After escaping the laboratory, the Red Force hunted them down. They participated in protests, rebelled against the system, tried to destroy the maze that still held them. The Exact album title itself was loaded with meaning. Exact can mean precise, but it was a play on extract. The Red Force was trying to extract their powers. EXO was trying to expel the corruption. "2017 brought a shift, and the battlefield, instead of in a lab, it was the mind. The War album introduced battlefield aesthetics, but the mythology evolved beyond simple good versus evil. Coco Bop, released July 18, was surreal and disorienting. Members in dreamlike states, wandering through hallucinatory environments. At first glance, it seemed disconnected from the lore, but fans decoded it differently. On the surface, it's a summer hit. In the lore, it's a state of altered consciousness. Were they truly free, or was the Red Force using a new kind of psychological manipulation? Then, power dropped, and the mythology went full comic book. For the first time since their debut, we saw their powers in high-definition glory. But power added a massive layer to the canon: the multiverse. The MV explicitly states that parallel realities exist, multiple realities operating simultaneously. In one universe, EXO battles a giant robot created by the Red Force. When they defeat it, the members earn power spheres. This led to a huge debate. Is Power a prequel? Is it an alternate reality where they weren't born with powers but earned them? The ending of Power showed Baekhyun rescuing a kitten from another parallel universe. Dimensions were bleeding into each other. The barriers between worlds were weakening. The Red Force was everywhere, in every timeline, and the 9 remaining forces were the only things standing in its way. November 2018. In Tempo, time itself breaks. The music video opens with members as speed-loving bikers entering a fragment of frozen time. They log into something called the Red Cube, a puzzle they must solve to escape. But the temptation is too strong. They keep re-entering, unable to resist. The cube was back. The same cube from Overdose. The same cube that represented the maze, the trap, the addiction. But now, it controlled time. Throughout Tempo, every member glitches and fragments throughout the video. Except D.O. He remains solid, unchanging, always aware. Fans had theorized for years that D.O. was omniscient, the one member who knew the full story, who could see all timelines. Tempo seemed to confirm it. The tagline, "Don't mess up my tempo," took on new meaning. Tempo is the pace of time itself. The Red Force was manipulating time, creating loops, trapping them in fragments where past, present, and future collapsed into one. Fans connected Tempo back to Monster, where time ran backward, back to Power, where parallel universes collided, back to Pathcode, where eclipses signaled worlds trying to merge. Every era fed back into previous ones. And then the question emerged. What if they'd been stuck in a time loop since Overdose? What if every comeback was them trying and failing to escape? What if the Red Force had already won by trapping them in infinite repetitions? Love Shot, the repackaged single released in December 2018, carried its own symbolism. A rose as a weapon, love as both salvation and destruction. The color red, both passion and the Red Force. The members stood in elegant settings, but the cube appeared again in the choreography. They built it with their hands. They couldn't escape it even when they weren't trying. By the end of 2018, the mythology was at its most complex. Time was fractured, reality was questionable. The members might just be simulations, or they might be the only real things left. The 27th of November 2019, obsession detonated the mythology. The Red Force had evolved. It had cloned them. Enter X, EXO, dark corrupted doppelgangers. The music video split reality. EXO in red, EXO in black. The choreography was a literal mirror match. Members reached toward their reflections, fought in perfect synchronization with their dark halves. This was the Red Force's most insidious strategy: turn their powers against them. If EXO couldn't defeat their own shadows, how could they protect the Tree of Life? The lore deepened with implications. EXO represented doubt, fear, the corruption that comes from within. Here's where it gets existential. If the Red Force created EXO using the original member's essence, does that mean part of EXO is already corrupted? Can you defeat an enemy that's made from your own darkness? Notably, only 6 EXO members appeared. Fans theorized that Schumann and D.O. were too powerful or aware to be cloned. The era ended on a cliffhanger. No one won. The shadows were still there, walking among them. Then the mythology went quiet. Military enlistment scattered the group from 2019 to 2022, and the lore faded into dormancy. Don't Fight the Feeling in 2021 was a fan service comeback with no mythological references. The cosmic narrative disappeared. For 3 years, the Tree of Life stood untended. The Red Force loomed somewhere in the background, but there were no music videos to continue the story. No official statements about what happened. Did EXO defeat XXO? Were the clones still out there? Had the Red Force won by default? Fans kept the lore alive through theories, but SM offered nothing. It felt like the mythology had been abandoned entirely. Now, in 2025, the silence has been broken by one word: REVERXE. The word itself is a spell. Reverse plus EXO. A reversal of fate, a return to the beginning. The reverse teasers have brought back the hexagons, the eclipses, and the cosmic weight we haven't felt in years. The mythology was back. But what does reverse actually mean in the lore? The pre-single "I'm Home" hits different when you realize home isn't a house, it's the Tree of Life. It's the origin point. The theory is that the 6 active forces are performing a dimensional merge, pulling the scattered timelines back together to undo the 2015 fracture. Others see it as a post-XXO reboot. After defeating XXO in Obsession, the universe needed a reset. Reverse is a reboot. The mythology starting over with the 6 forces, but carrying the wisdom and scars of every battle. The Tree of Life has been restored, and they're beginning a new era with their powers intact but evolved. Some believe Reverse is the final fulfillment of the Mama prophecy, which quotes, "The day the 12 forces reunite into one perfect root." Maybe it doesn't mean 12 people anymore. Maybe it means the 12 powers have finally been condensed into the 6 remaining vessels. Some fans believe Reverse is the Red Force's endgame. It created XXO to corrupt them from within. Now, it's reversing time itself. The comeback is EXO, realizing they need to go back to the origin, back to EXO Planet, to stop the Red Force before it ever began. The full album release will reveal which theory holds weight. The prophecy was spoken in 2012. The day the 12 forces reunite into one perfect root, a new world shall open up. For years, fans waited for all 12 members to return. A new world. We thought that meant a happy ending. But maybe the new world is simply the one where they stopped running. A world where the Red Force can corrupt, clone, and manipulate, but unity prevails. The mythology EXO created in 2012 became their reality. Every departure mirrored the lore's themes of separation. Every reunion echoed the prophecy's promise. And Reverse? It's the moment the story completes, or begins again. Because as long as the Tree of Life stands, the mythology lives. The lore evolves. The powers remain. Because we are one. EXO dared to be bold. Will you?